Hi, in this module, we are going to be solving a prelim paper. Here I've chosen the St. Mary's prelim paper, not because of any personal bias, but because the questions set here are within the parameters of the syllabus as prescribed by the board. A few general instructions, some of them may seem obvious, but there's no harm reading through again. It says answers to this paper must be written on the paper provided. That's okay. You will not be allowed to write during the first 15 minutes. So make good use of this time. Read through your question paper and choose which are the optional questions that you're going to be attempting. Attempt all questions from section A that you should be aware of and any 4 questions from section B. So in those 15 minutes, decide which questions you're going to be appearing for and make sure you choose the best 4 that you know. The intended marks for questions or parts of questions are given in brackets. Anyways, with that in mind, and assuming you've already taken the 15 minutes reading through your question paper carefully, let me now take you through answering this prelim paper. The very first question requires you to name some structures and processes. For example, the first one says to name 2 conducting tissues in plants. Okay, are we ready to start? Now, when you begin, you put down the question number as specified in the paper itself. So this is 1A as is given over here, and number it according to the numbering that has been followed in the question paper. Do not make up your own numbering. So you've got number 1, 2 conducting tissues in plants. Now this is straightforward. You've got the xylem and the phloem. In this, you've got to keep to the point. You don't need to write a whole sentence for this. Number 2, it says the carbohydrates stored in the liver and muscles. Now, you're aware that glucose is stored in the liver and muscles, but it's stored in the form of, that's right, glycogen. And that is a carbohydrate which is stored in the liver and muscles. So we are done with this, we are done with this. The ability of the eye to adjust for near and distant vision. If you can remember what that was, that's accommodation. Now, as you're writing this, you should remember that accommodation involves the ciliary muscles, contracting to make the lens thicker and relaxing to make the lens thinner. Thicker to see close by objects and thinner to see far off objects. That's accommodation. 4, an air pollutant. And that's simple enough. It could be sulfur dioxide. It could also be carbon monoxide, methane, as well as carbon dioxide. Next one we have is the respiratory pigment in blood. The pigment that helps in respiration. That's right, it's hemoglobin. Now, coming back to this air pollutant, we discussed 4 or 5 air pollutants that are there, different gases. But do not put down multiple options and expect the examiner to choose one for you. You put down the one that you are most sure about. So we are done with this. Moving on now to the next one,